Restaurant is the easiest business to start up. That's why so many people start it. And then when I say easiest to start up, I mean you need a kitchen and you need to know how to make some kind of food. At least that's the mentality. Is that the reality? Not always. So because of that mindset, if I had to guess, probably the most opened business in the world. It's also the most shut down business in the world. If I'm not mistaken, the statistics are something along the lines of 80 to 90% shut down within 3 years because it cannot sustain itself. They take at least 3 years just to get to a sustainable break-even point. We've got Timmy's Tanur. Timmy is my dad's nickname. His name is Nadeem. I don't know why. I don't know where Timmy came from, but like his siblings all Timmy, you know?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, it happens in all the Brown families.
So that was his nickname. So we call it Timmy's Tanur.
Okay.
Right? Tanur is just the Arabic word for an oven.
Yeah, okay.
So
I thought it means tandoor.
yeah, basically, right? But it's just Tanur.
Okay.
Right?
Since you operate a grocery store and the inflationary environment that we're living in right now, right? Especially after COVID, right? Things have changed a lot. You go to a grocery store, every single time prices have gone up, right? So you operate a grocery store. What are your thoughts on this?
People think that
you guys probably make a lot of money.
Yeah, that's what people think. That's not what's happening.
I saw on social media Justin Trudeau visited your grocery markets. How did that happen?
How did that happen?
That is when he was the Prime Minister.
Yes. Yeah.
Just for the audience.
For the audience, this is when people still love them.
You just launched a new book.
Yes.
So, and the name is A is for Angrezi.
A is for Angrezi.
So, can you just tell
Available now on Amazon and other platforms.
Yeah, can you just tell us a bit more about the book?
So, the book, I think I was joking around. I was just joking around. I don't even remember who it was with. But like, you know, they were making fun of, it was one of my friends making fun of my Urdu language skills. And then as a joke, I was like, A is for Angrezi, the language of the colonizer.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Khanani Connection. Today we have Mr. Dawood Younis with us. He owns and runs a restaurant in Canada. He just launched his own book. He's going to law school. So we'll just ask Dawood how he manages all of this at the same time. Hi Dawood, how are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you?
How do you manage all of this at the same time?
I don't. I try my best, and it's with a lot of du'as and a lot of help from my family and my friends.
All right, perfect. How are you? How's life? How's everything?
Everything is good, alhamdulillah. Yeah, like you said, so I'll be going off in July, so not too long, and then next chapter begins.
All right, perfect. So, first of all, thank you so much for coming. Pleasure having you.
Thank you very much for having me.
And we'll just get started right away. So, we'll just start from your early life. Where were you born? Your schooling, college. Basically, let's just explore your early life first.
I'll start writing my autobiography.
Pretty much, yes.
So I was born here. I was born in Hamilton.
Okay.
Not Toronto. It's not as flashy as Toronto. I was born in Hamilton, St. Joe's, Steel City. But after I was born, immediately my family went back. So
went back to
Dubai.
Dubai. Okay.
So my family, obviously Pakistani, but even my parents, they spent most of their life in the Middle East, in Kuwait. My brother was born in Kuwait. My cousins were born in Kuwait. My dad was born in Kuwait. But I was born here. We went back because that's where they were at that time. And I stayed there until 2005. So, I did my early childhood was all there.
In the Middle East.
In the Middle East.
Oh, okay.
Again, focus in the Emirates.
Okay.
First we were in Sharjah, then Mirdif, then actually in the city of Dubai itself.
So right the first 8 to 10 years of your life, you're there.
Basically.
And then you moved to Hamilton, Toronto, Canada. Yeah. Okay.
And then we actually came to Hamilton for, I want to say it was maybe about 2 years, and then we went back to Dubai. I was in Doha for a summer, and then in Dubai for the school year, and then came back to Canada. And at that point, that's when this is grade 6. So from grade 6 onwards, I was more or less permanently resettled into Canada.
And before that, what was the reason of moving or juggling between multiple places?
That's like I said, that's where my family grew up.
Okay.
That's where my parents grew up. That's where my dad's job was. So he worked for an organization. More or less what they did was, they would acquire in the education field, they would acquire struggling enterprises, fix them, and then move them on.
Okay.
Right. So they're traded on the Kuwaiti Stock Exchange today. They're massive, and and that's why he was there. So he was always from Dubai to Qatar to Kuwait.
Okay.
But our family, my cousins, my aunts, my popos, they all live in the UAE.
What's your favorite place out of the three? Qatar, Kuwait, and Dubai.
Oof. I spent the most time there. So probably it is Dubai.
Okay.
So Dubai would probably be my number one. Qatar is number two.
Okay.
Kuwait is my Kuwaiti cousins are going to be upset.
So you still have family in Kuwait?
But yeah, I still have family in Kuwait with Kuwaiti citizenship. So they're like full Kuwaiti, full Khaliji.
Okay.
But Kuwait is, for me at least, easily the distant third.
Okay. Is it because it's boring or it's not as global as Dubai?
I think both. I think part of the appeal of Dubai is the fact that you go there and it's similar to Toronto in the sense of you're not surrounded by just one thing. There's so much going on from so many different parts of the world, so many different types of people, and the vibe is completely different. Doha has a similar energy, still more Arabian-centric, right? But it has a similar energy. But Kuwait feels to me, again, last time maybe it's changed. Last time I was in Kuwait was 2006 probably.
Okay, so it's been a while.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
But Kuwait, from my memory, was almost like its own little bubble. It didn't develop at the pace of Qatar, Dubai, and even Saudi.
Got it. So grade 6 onwards, you're in Canada. So how was that for you, like schooling? How's schooling here? How was college here for you?
Starting with schooling, and it was great. I had a great, for the most part. I had a great time. Yeah, I mean, I think it's similar in a sense to my experience when I was in school in Dubai. I was at Emirates International School. You have kids from all over the world there. We had German kids, Swiss kids, Arab kids, Pakistani kids, Indian kids. Very similar here in Canada. We had a whole variety of people and different types of people and cultures in the classroom. So the schooling was fantastic. High school was also great. Ancaster High School, AHS, Royals.
Okay.
That was great. But I did the IB program within Ancaster High. So that was, in my opinion, I think that was a very, very good choice. Just the way that those classes were approached and the types of peers I had. I thought I surrounded myself with more like-minded individuals, and the content of the classes themselves I enjoyed a lot.
Did you have a lot of Pakistani friends in high school, college?
No. College, yes. So at U of T, where I went after, I went to Brotman. I did a management specialization. At U of T, I think I definitely had more Pakistani friends. At that point in time, in Ancaster, the Pakistani community wasn't particularly large.
So did you ever feel disconnected to your roots and culture at any time?
100%.
Okay, you did. Okay.
I think most of that is primarily due to language. We're doing this in English because my Urdu is not at the level that I would like it to be.
Okay.
I go on Preply. I have my Preply lessons with Ustad Muhammad. Helping boost my vocabulary slowly. But I think language definitely is the biggest disconnect for me between myself and Pakistani culture. When it comes to like food, movies, music, all that stuff, I'm in tune. Cricket, I would die hard.
Okay.
Cricket, usually to my disappointment.
Yeah, it's been a bad time for us, but okay.
Right. But yeah, so I think language has been the primary disconnect, and obviously I think when you live in a place, it's different. It's one thing to understand the culture from afar, but to actually immerse yourself and around it is a very, very different experience.
So when was the first time you visited Pakistan?
So the very, very first time, I don't remember, right? Like that was like when I was a kid, my mom, her family is from Abbottabad. My dad's family is from Lahore.
Okay.
So, I do have like vague flashes of memories in Islamabad and Abbottabad very, very early on. I'm talking sometime before 2005, right? But like it was at such an age that I don't remember. The first time I properly went cognizant of my experience was 2022. No, it was 2021, I think.
So during COVID, basically.
During COVID.
Okay.
Yes, it was very much during COVID. Had to get like clearances and testing done before and after.
PCRs.
Right, PCR.
The most annoying thing ever.
Terrible. But you know what? It was the best travel experience of my life.
Okay.
both the destination and the trip. It was for a very good friend of mine, Azhar Chaudhary. I call him Chaudhary Saab. It was his wedding. So that was the first time that I actually got to go. And we had, because of COVID, we had our Emirates business class trips, round trip. We got it for like cheaper than the economy tickets.
Okay.
Right? So like today, those tickets are like God knows how much, but we got it at an absolute steal. Fantastic.
Because of COVID, right?
Because of
prices,
COVID.
basically.
COVID prices.
Yeah.
So it was a fantastic travel experience. And then we spent a couple of days in Dubai first, and then we went to. It's actually funny. So those couple of days in Dubai, that was my first time seeing my cousins excluding one time I visited because of a death. It was my first time seeing them and like being able to have happiness together in a decade.
So were you just in Lahore, or did you visit other places as well?
After Dubai, I went to Lahore. My first time seeing Lahore. Fantastic. And then from Lahore, we went, I'm trying to remember. We went straight from Lahore to Gujarat, which is where his family was. We were there for the wedding. And then I also went because I have a puppu in Islamabad. So I went there. I spent some time there. And then after that, I went back to Lahore. Now wedding is over. Now it was just me. It was three of us. It was me, my friend who got married, and another friend whose dad is like in the army in Pakistan, right? So like all the vastas, all the connects that came through him. Lahore was the airport was a good experience because first of all, I had to go through the whole. I don't have an ICOP, right? So I had to go through the whole like visa process.
Oh, so you got the Pakistan visa? Oh, okay.
I had to go through the whole process, and like I didn't have my visa pretty much like until like a day before.
So how difficult is it for Canadian citizens to get a Pakistani visa?
It was surprisingly difficult.
Okay.
Right? Like it was, it was fine. It just took some time, but we got it done fine. But when I landed, I went to like the foreigners line, right? Not the Pakistani passport, not the NICOP. And then they sent me to the back room. I'm like, I get randomly.
There's a back room in Pakistan,
I get randomly selected in the US, and I'm randomly selected here. But afterwards we got through. It was fine. And then I think we got a little sidetracked. But yeah, I went from Islamabad back to Lahore, and that is the time where I actually got to see Lahore properly because there's no rush of the wedding. And I have another friend of mine, Shahzeb, his dad and his brother, they took me all. I've never seen these places. I've never seen the Badshah Mosque. I've never been anywhere. They took me to all these places. So I'm very, very, grateful and respectful of them. And it was also interesting being, on the almost feeling like a guest, right, in the whole country.
Yeah.
Because we even some of the other guys from U of T, from maybe they were I think my year before you. Some of them I was meeting them for the first time after God knows how long. But they showed me so much protocol and so much respect. Even though they had a lot of pressing things going on in their life, they took the time and made that time for me just to show me around so I can have a good time. So I was almost in awe of how much protocol everybody displayed.
Amazing.
I think one of the most fun parts about that was definitely PSL final at Gaddafi.
Okay. So you experienced that.
I experienced that, and with Lahore winning.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Even better.
Yeah. So that was fantastic. It was we didn't know that we were gonna get in until like 40 minutes before. My boy came in. He's like, he called his dad in the army, who called somebody else. We got the tickets.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got the tickets and we went. And then when we got there, they had closed the gates, right? Okay. So like one group is inside, and it's just me and my cousin. My cousin came from Islamabad with me. Now my memory is coming back to me. So he came back with me, and we're stuck outside. People are trying to climb the fences. One guy, he pushed one of the security guards, and like the security guard, he's like, I don't care who your dad is, bro. He pulled his gun.
This is probably all fun for you, huh?
Yeah, I was. It was like half fun, half like I'm like watching a movie.
What's happening?
You know? And then I'm like, I told my cousin, I'm like, Mahir, what do we do? He's like, Dawood bhai, aap to elder hai. I'm like, okay, so we'll figure something. We went to another gate, and then I was trying to call my buddies who were inside, but I think Imran Khan was supposed to be at that game, so they had cell jammers, like there was
okay.
no signal.
Yeah.
And the uncle behind me, he was some army guy too, so he's like, "Beta, are you lost?" I'm like, "Yes, sir." He pulled out his sat phone so I could call my guy. So we called him, and we eventually got in. Enjoyed the game. It was my first time also seeing a cricket game, and cricket, like I said, that has,
Yeah.
other than food, probably been the biggest connection between me and Pakistan. So it was almost like full circle. My first time in Lahore. Now I also get to enjoy this game being played at the highest level, not just what you see in Canada.
So you also learned one more thing, that you got to know someone from the army in Pakistan.
100%. You got to know. You got people. Army, government, doesn't matter.
Yeah. You got to know someone.
You got to know someone. It makes life easier. He was driving from Islamabad to Lahore. He made like 2 calls. They closed down the highway. He's going full 170. I'm like, if it works, it works.
Amazing. Perfect. So after college, you went to U of T, and that's where we met once. So we haven't crossed paths a lot, but that's where we met once. So what did you go to U of T for? What did you study at U of T?
Yeah. So after graduating high school, applied a bunch of places, finalized at U of T, Rotman School of Commerce. My brother was already in the program.
Oh, the same program.
Right, the same program.
Okay.
So he specializes in accounting.
Okay.
Me, I am not a numbers person. It's never been my skill set. I probably should have done a deeper dive into Rotman and understand how quantitatively focused it was, but I didn't. And so I went in, and it was an experience. I think it was probably simultaneously the most challenging and also the most rewarding experience that I've had. I think one of the things that always stuck with me, it was a they have those case competitions. It was something like that. They called it Rotman's Den, or something like that. It was like a sales pitch type situation, and myself and my partner, we won, and then the judge, at the end of it, because he was a graduate from U of T in business 20 something years ago, along with his wife, right? So they both did the same thing, and what he said is, this is like his inspirational speech to everybody. He said, even 20 years ago, or whenever he went, he was a student. He said that was the most challenging thing he had to do in his life ever. He did his MBA after that. His undergrad at University of Toronto was harder. His work career, University of Toronto was harder. So that always stuck with me, in the sense of, were there a lot of sad, negative, challenging moments? Yes. But it's all for the better, if that's the test kitchen, so to speak, so that everything else in life is easier. I'm not as fazed as much by it, then that's all for the better.
Got it. So after university, right? So did you start a restaurant right after you graduated, or what did you do in between?
So this is going to go back to math.
Okay.
So terrible at math.
Okay.
I suck at it. I hate it. I've tried to be good at it. I was in Kumon. I don't know if you're familiar with Kumon.
I am not.
Kumon is a tutoring thing in Canada where I think it's the origin is Korea. But it's literally like booklets, timer, go, do the math, right? My parents had to put me in that so I could have a base level of mathematical ability. RSM 332 and 333, I started and dropped it I don't know how many times. So I got hired for a sales development program at a company called Allegiant. Before I graduated. So I had my class that I was supposed to graduate with. I didn't. And I started the sales development program. I spent 4 months in Indiana. So this company, they manufactured emergency door hardware. So things from locks to door closers to the fire exits. They're a $1 billion company. They manufacture that and sell that worldwide. So they had a sales development program where you do rotations throughout the different functions before going into sales, with the intent that you move up through management over your career, right? Like the general manager of the Canadian division, he did that program 7 years prior, right? So it's basically supposed to be a pathway to management within that company. Started there, did school part-time to finish up 222 and 223. And these
are for the audience. These are just finance courses.
Yeah. So not good at it. Yeah. So those courses I had to finish up. Everything else was done, and then I officially finished and graduated. For the COVID timeline, so I was in Indiana in the summer of 2019. Spent 4 months there. Came back. They have their office in Port Credit, and then I worked there for over a year after coming back. That is when COVID hit, and then that
2020 March.
2020, yeah.
Okay.
So that is when my the lens that I made decisions with changed. I was living in Toronto at the time. My family was still in Hamilton, and I was scared. What if, God forbid, something happens? I'm not even living with my family. So I moved back home. I moved back to Hamilton, and then this is where the restaurant kind of started. So my dad approached me. For context, the restaurant is not the first business. Right? The first business, Eastern Food Market, which is a grocery store, halal grocery store.
So is that a family business?
That's a family business. Right? Originally focused on South Asian groceries, but in Hamilton, our demographics are more heavy towards the Arab side, so we changed the product mix.
And sorry, what's the name of the grocery store?
Eastern Food Market.
Eastern Food Market.
Eastern Food Market, which people usually take to mean Middle Eastern.
Yeah.
Right, and that's what 80% of our products and our offerings are targeted towards. So he said, this is my dad. He said he's thinking about expanding. For reference, again, the original store, very, very successful store, absolutely tiny. We're talking like it's almost the shoppable area is pretty much less than 1,000 square feet.
Okay.
So
it's very small for a grocery store, yes.
Very, 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 very small. And on top of that, we've got like a halal meat counter, which takes up 60% of the space. So tiny. He's finally considering expanding it. And then he asks if we want to join. And then,
we as in you and your brother?
Exactly.
Okay.
We, you as in myself and my brother Heather, we had to make that decision. I made that decision first. I said, yes, okay, no problem. I handed in my resignation at Allegiant. I'm like, you know what? We're gonna give this a shot. Because I always wanted that store. The original location is kind of like hidden behind a tire garage. It's not accessible. It's not prominent. I wanted something that was, I could be more proud of.
And sorry, I'll just stop you there. So your brother also left his job, or was he working?
Yes. So he was weighing an offer from a different organization or Eastern Food Market. Those were his two options.
Okay.
Right. So he made the decision to come into the fold as well.
Okay.
And then when we made that decision, so we knew, okay, we're expanding. First step was find a location. We find a location, which is literally like 2 seconds away from the original location.
But a bigger one.
Bigger one. Yeah. If you're people that are familiar with Hamilton, it's directly across from Lime Ridge Mall, right, which is the biggest mall in Hamilton. Okay. And we knew that we wanted to expand, so we find that location. Then we're like, okay, what if we had a restaurant inside the grocery store? And that's where the restaurant was born. Right, so the way that we divvied it up is that we have a separate wholesale business. That's Ontario Halal Meat Farms. That's my dad's portfolio. Then we've got Eastern Food Market, which is the grocery. That's what my brother's going to look after. Then we've got Timmy's Tanur. Timmy is my dad's nickname. His name is Nadeem. I don't know why. I don't know where Timmy came from, but like his siblings, all Timmy,
Timmy, okay.
right?
Yeah, it happens in all the brown families.
So that was his nickname. So we call it Timmy's Tanur.
Okay.
Right? Tanur is just the Arabic word for an oven.
Yeah, okay.
So
I thought it means tandoor.
Yeah, basically, right? But it's just TANUR.
Okay,
right?
Okay. All right.
And that's where that was born, and that fell onto me.
Okay.
So because I've always enjoyed cooking and food since I was a kid. So the restaurant portfolio fell onto me. We spent almost six to 8 months in the basement, literally testing. It's me and one Syrian guy, right? We're testing different recipes. And that's where everything started. And then we opened, and then everything has just been a constant evolution from that moment on.
Got it. So we'll get to your restaurant business, but let's just explore the grocery business first, right? So how difficult is opening a grocery store? How difficult is it to operate it, to get those products in, shelf space? How difficult is it? Like, what are the logistics behind it?
So setting up a grocery store is very difficult.
Okay.
It's very capital intensive. Because if you don't have inventory, you go into a grocery store with empty shelves. Do you want to stay there? No, right? So capital intensive, along with like the furnishings and the fixtures of the store, it's also very labor intensive,
Yes.
right? Especially when you're on the larger side, you need staff to be filling shelves, you need staff to be cleaning. You have specialized staff such as butchers or a deli department or a bakery. You need specialized staff and equipment for that. So
And sorry, it was a full-fledged grocery store with the bakery section, the halal meat section.
exactly,
And
full-fledged.
like all the other things.
The bakery portfolio fell under the restaurant.
Okay.
Right. So the restaurant took care of all the naans and everything that we bake. But the butcher section, halal meat butchery, that's all
Under the grocery.
considered part of the grocery. It's a tough process. It's easy if you already have 10 million in the bank, you know what I mean, and you wanna do it. But if you're just trying to start something up, it can be difficult and it can be challenging.
So from finding a location to setting everything up to getting the inventory in your store, how long was this process? How long did it take you?
This whole planning process. So I joined the company November 2020. We probably started properly planning for this expansion in January. We opened in January 2021. We opened in December of 2021. So we did and this is during COVID. We did construction, permits, design, everything in a year. And we got it open.
Interesting. And like apart from that, how do you compare yourself to a small grocery store elsewhere in Toronto? For example, Raba, right? For example, that's a big one here. Independent city markets. That's owned by Loblaws, but is your grocery store the same size as them, or how do you guys operate?
As I think we're bigger than a Raba's, just by virtue of the meat section itself is a completely separate beast, and then our selection of frozen and cooled goods is much larger. So if you're thinking about a no frills, you think about a no frills, our Hamilton location is probably about a third or a quarter of the size of a full large 20,000. It's about 4,800 square feet.
Oh, okay.
Which is still a small grocery store. Our Niagara location, which opened in the following year, that's closer to, I think it's 11,000 square feet.
Oh, so that's massive. That's huge.
So that's only half of a no frills or a Sobeys.
Okay.
So it's still, is it as big as as a full-fledged grocery store? No, but compared to Raba's, much bigger.
So obviously you left your job, right? And you worked on your family business, which obviously you tried to expand it. And then you opened a second location, which is like huge, right? So do you think that was the right decision? Just leave your job and just work on this family business and just expand it? Because the fact that you just opened a big, massive second location, I just assume that it was a great decision.
Yeah, so I think 100% that was the right decision at that time. I think the organization that I was working for then, it was the kind of place, and there's still some friends that I have that that are working there. It's the kind of place that people start, and then because of the relaxed pace, you blink and 7-10 years has gone by, and people are still there. I didn't want that to happen to myself. And then there were, it was just a tumultuous time, especially with COVID. I thought that, they were taking good care of all the people like myself that are working in the office and working remotely. But the guys in the factory, were they doing everything to keep them as safe as they could have, or, to afford them, the best experience? That was something that I wasn't sure of. So that was a big part of my decision to leave. I think risk is always easier to take when you're younger, right? So starting your own business, doing social media, whatever people want to do, the younger that you do it, the easier it is, because you don't have the pressures and the responsibilities that you get as you get older.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think definitely that was the right decision at that time.
Amazing. And since you operate a grocery store and the inflationary environment that we're living in right now, right? Especially after COVID, right? Things have changed a lot. You go to a grocery store, every single time prices have gone up, right? So you operate a grocery store. What are your thoughts on this?
People think that
you guys probably make a lot of money.
Yeah, that's what people think. That's not what's happening. I think for like the large, the Walmart, the Loblaws, No Frills, Gale and Weston, that's a different story, because at that scale, they're ultimately dictating to the suppliers what price they want. You know,
Yeah.
they threaten them, I won't stock your products. When you're a smaller independent retailer, you don't have that luxury. So we're almost at their mercy in the sense of the suppliers raise their price week after week, month after month. We don't really have a choice. We either increase the price or we go out of business. What do people want us to do? Right?
And obviously, you have to increase prices just to maintain your margins, right?
Exactly, right? We have to make a living. We have to make sure our staff is taken care of. And if that means we have to increase prices, then it is what it is. You know, it's not something unique to independent retailers. It's almost the larger retailers set the trend, and then everybody else kind of follows because costs rise.
And do people like come to you and like, for example, your dad, your dad's friends, that your prices are going so up, you just bought a new car. What's happening? Come on.
100%. They'll be like, listen, by that post on TikTok, they're like, I just saw his TikTok. You know, it's a nice new car I got there. I'm like, listen, it wasn't me.
You opened
First
this
of all,
new location. Now look at this restaurant, new cars.
yeah. No, I mean, like that. You know, we've been fortunate and smart enough to not put all our eggs in one basket. You know, people, not just in Hamilton but around Canada, have found a lot of success in investing in real estate. Same thing with my dad.
Okay.
So that was, you know, it's kind of interesting balancing the two. And then you always get people that'll come up and say, you know, I know the owner, you know, to pass something for free.
Yeah.
This was 2 weeks ago. Somebody said, I know Dawood. And I'm just there at the cash. I'm like, oh,
Who
you know
are
him.
you?
You know him. I know him too. You know? So yeah, it is what it is. You know, we try to maintain the margin that we have to make sure that the business can run efficiently, and no more and no less.
Amazing. And I saw on social media Justin Trudeau visited your
Yes.
grocery markets. How did that happen?
How did that happen? So,
And that is when he was the Prime Minister.
yes, yeah.
Just for the audience.
For the audience, this is when people still love them. So, you know, that was, and we'll go back to when I came to Canada in grade 2. So when I came to Canada in grade 2, there's only one other Pakistani kid there, Salman Abbas.
Okay.
You know, so he was the first friend I made.
Okay.
And
Are you
then
still friends with him?
I saw him yesterday.
Oh,
so
okay, amazing. Okay.
we
Hi,
fast
Salman.
we fast forward all these many years. Salman works within the liberal apparatus, right? And you know, he's always on the in and around the political arena. So he gave me a call. And he told me that Justin is coming, and I think at that point it was like 3-4 days to speak with. This is right after the Taliban took over in Afghanistan, and so we had a lot of new Afghani refugees coming into Canada, specifically into Hamilton, because we have a very large Afghanistani population.
Okay.
So Trudeau was coming to speak to new refugees, right, and to see what's going on. And they were trying to find a location for this conversation to happen. And Salman said, contact this person. I contacted that person. I had to fill out some questionnaires and write a little essay. I did that. They selected us.
Oh, wow.
So it happened in the blink of an eye.
And were
right?
you excited? And was your family excited? Oh,
my family
Prime
was
Minister's coming to
was
your restaurant.
very, very
At your grocery
excited,
store.
and very, very proud. You know, it doesn't happen every day for a sitting prime minister. You know,
Yeah.
it's one thing if this is, you know, when afterwards or before.
Yeah, that would
but
have been different. Yes.
for the current head of state to visit, it was a very, very you know, proud moment for my family. And then, you know, when he came, it was almost surreal. You know, I opened the store that day. I got there at 7, make sure everything is set up. You know, and at like 7:30, you see this big black SUV park in the corner of the parking lot. And I'm like, that's Secret Service right there. You know, I go up to them and I am taking a bunch of drinks. I'm like, you guys want drinks? You guys want snacks? Anything? They're like, no, we're all good, right? And then they came in, they did their security sweep. These guys are giants. Like there wasn't that the 6'3" guy was short, you know? So we have these giants roaming the store. They do the security sweep. They see where all the exits, everything are. And then we waited. That was it.
And when he came, how was it?
So he came with his son. It was his son's first public appearance with his dad in a prime ministerial capacity. So he's tall and he's good looking. You know, I thought it was just the pictures. I'm like, you are tall and pretty, prime minister. But yeah, no, he was very, very nice and respectful. You know, we walked around the store, learned about the business, and then he had the chance to have the conversation with with recent arrivals to Hamilton about the situation back home.
So the refugees, they were at your grocery store when he was in it?
Correct. Right. They came. That was the designated meeting spot. We had tables and chairs set up for them to have that conversation.
And did the footfall in your grocery store change after the visit?
Yes. It was the first large scale PR event that happened for the store. So there was definitely, like, that was a point of inflection. You know, that's the way that what I've seen over the past almost 5 years now is that there's different points of inflections where things change. That was the first one. The second one was we had a lovely woman. Her name is Joyce. She writes reviews in the Hamilton Spectator for restaurants. So she came in, she reviewed our food, and it got published in the Hamilton Spectator. That was a second point of inflection. Like, after that, things are not the same anymore. The dynamics of the whole restaurant have shifted. And then just recently, in April, we had somebody. Her username on TikTok is Marla Mux, right? She came in. She made a little TikTok of the food. It went viral. She got over 100,000 views on her TikTok account, not on. Follow us at Timmy's Tanur. But on her TikTok, it went viral, and that was another point of inflection, right? Where the whole dynamics of everything changed. We had this family come in. How did you find out about us? She's like, my daughter in Kingston sent me a TikTok. Now we're here, and they're taking a family platter.
Yeah.
So
social media does work.
It does work.
Well, I hope this podcast works for you as well.
Inshallah.
And for me. Perfect. So let's move on to your restaurant business now.
Yes.
I said, how did that happen? And how difficult is it to run a restaurant business? Because from the people I've heard, like, who operate a restaurant here, they're like, it's the worst business ever. So what are your thoughts on it?
They're absolutely right.
Okay.
It is. I think it's easily the hardest business.
And sorry, can you just tell a bit about your restaurant? What is it? And,
So Timmy's Tanur, the way that we approached both the branding and the menu is that, my dad, when he was working in his corporate life, he traveled everywhere. So the idea was, okay, this is Timmy, this is his Tanur, and we want to make food that he had from various parts of the world. It's mostly Arabian, right? We don't actually do we don't do any desi food. We don't do no biryani, no karai, nothing. Why? Because it just takes too long.
Yeah.
If you want to do it right, you can do shortcuts and you can make it quick. But we don't. If there's one thing we're not going to compromise on, it's the quality and the taste. So we didn't want to do instant biryani.
Yeah.
Let's call it, right? It's not good. So primarily Arabian food, along with things that are baked. That can be pizza. We have our own invention, a naan zarati, which is giant naan stuffed with cheese and shawarma and whatever else you want.
I'm hungry now. Okay.
And that's how it was born. It's been a constant evolution even to this day. We try something, it might work, it might not work, we move on. We had a previous restaurant before COVID, which we sold literally, I think maybe a month before COVID hit. So we were very, 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 alhamdulillah.
So was that a blessing in disguise?
Very much a blessing in disguise. And we learned a lot from that experience, and we tried to implement all those learnings in Timmy's Tanur.
Got it. So you have two locations, both inside the grocery stores.
Correct.
You guys have, right?
Yeah.
So you just said, like, it's difficult to operate a restaurant. Why? Like, why is it so difficult? Because, because every single time, because, we have that Ridgeway Plaza, right? Where everyone goes to. Again, every single time you go there, there's a new restaurant, and probably the person just shut down, right? So again, the life cycle is short. But why does this happen? And obviously, the restaurants that are big, they're big.
Absolutely. Like, restaurant is the easiest business to start up. That's why so many people start it. And then when I say easiest to start up, I mean you need a kitchen and you need to know how to make some kind of food. At least that's the mentality. Is that the reality? Not always. So because of that mindset, if I had to guess, probably the most opened business in the world. It's also the most shut down business in the world. If I'm not mistaken, the statistics are something along the lines of 80 to 90% shut down within 3 years because it cannot sustain itself. They take at least 3 years just to get to a sustainable break-even point. So you have to be willing and able to lose money for the first 1, 2, 3 years, and not everybody is able to do that.
And what would you say? Where are you right now? Where's your restaurant stand?
So now alhamdulillah, we're in a much much better position than we were back when we first started. We just in April we broke our sales record, and then in May we broke our sales record of April, right? Which is a lot of it is thanks to that TikTok that I was telling you about that went viral. Like I said, you have to hit these inflection points where the dynamics change. So now we're in a very, very different phase. We're looking forward to franchising next year. We have our own line of hot sauce that's going to hit store shelves later this year, along with our white sauce and the cold sauces. Those will come towards the end of the year.
Okay. So it's interesting you said that like all of it happened because of that wild TikTok, most of it, right? And it's interesting that Imad from Halal or Nothing, the founder of Halal or Nothing, he was here last week.
He's a very nice guy.
Yeah, and he's a food influencer as well. So what do you think is the power of a food influencer now? Can it like change everything for you?
I think it can. Can it change everything for you? Definitely, but that doesn't mean that you put all your eggs into one basket.
Okay.
So there's the optics of what looks nice, and then there's the reality of what actually happens. For someone like Imad, his core audience, in and around the GTA, are looking for new places in Mississauga, Toronto. That's the bulk of his audience. Even people that are in Hamilton, because Hamilton's a unique market. Only now, and when I say now, I'm talking about the last 12 to 18 months, do we have nice dine-in halal restaurants. Before that, everything was takeout only.
Okay.
Or it's not an environment you want to go to with your family. It's a quick in and out situation. So only now has that started to change. As a result, the mindset of people in Hamilton, at least, is, our family wants to go out. Let's go to Mississauga. Let's go to Ridgeway.
Yeah.
Let's go to Toronto. Let's go to Niagara. Let's go to here. Let's go to there. If you're in one of those hotspots like Ridgeway, I think you can definitely capitalize on food influencers. I just think that people have to be very careful because a lot of times food influencers, they don't come for free. They charge a fee on top of the food. This is one of the mistakes I made in Kebabish, which was the previous restaurant. I called
Sorry, what was the name of the restaurant?
Kebabish.
Kebabish. Okay. What is that, a food truck or something? Or
I think now it's somebody else has a food truck also by the name of Kebabish.
Okay.
We did it first.
All right. So it's not the same.
It's not the same.
Okay.
No. Our food, that was mostly Afghani food.
Okay.
So at that time, I paid maybe 15 or 20 different influencers to come in and take videos and all this stuff. But the ROI isn't necessarily there. I would be better served putting those marketing dollars elsewhere. So I think it depends on.
Sorry, I'll just stop you there. So, you invested in 15, 20 different people. Wouldn't it have been better if you just got the best one, or did you get the best one?
Maybe.
Okay.
We'll never know.
Okay.
Yeah, I think what I learned from there and shifting to now is that sometimes, and I think that it just comes across in the content itself, the audience can tell when this is paid content and when it's not paid content, right? If not the audience, the algorithm can tell, right? So people respond differently. Like I think, we've had other videos that have gotten just as many views, if not more, than her 100,000 views. But her 100,000 views, I've seen more people come in, more than anything else, right? Why? Because she's just a random girl that tried the food and she liked it. I didn't pay her to say that. I gave her the food for free. And then I asked her to give her honest opinion to her followers, and that's what she did.
Okay. And what's the importance of reviews, right? Because, for example, when I have to go to a new restaurant, right, I check Google reviews. Okay, it's 4.5, 4.7. Oh, perfect.
Exactly like you said.
If anything's under 4.5, I'm like, it just changes my mind, right? So how important is that?
It's exactly like you said. I think Google reviews is, if you look at it like a sales funnel, almost, you've got the beginning of the funnel is your promotion, your TikToks, whatever. The actual decision, am I going to enter and purchase food from this establishment or not? I think now most people are hardwired to check the Google. Even my dad, it doesn't matter how old somebody is. The consumer habit, what are their reviews? Usually people, it's exactly like you said, they have a minimum, right? If it's under 4.5, I'm not going. If it's under 4.3, I'm not going. Whatever that number is. Alhamdulillah, we're at, I think, 4.8 or 4.9 from 1,000 plus reviews.
Amazing.
Right?
Okay.
So Google reviews are very, very, very important. it's make or break for so many people. They'll either see, wow, that reviews are amazing, let's go there, or they'll say those reviews are terrible, let's not go there.
Also, you check Google reviews, and obviously, like the newer generation, they also check TikTok and Instagram for those food influencer reviews as well, because they trust them.
And I think so with TikTok, we'll go back to this woman this girl whose video went viral. It doesn't have to be a big influencer. Her followers, she has 2,200.
Anything can go viral.
She has 2,200 followers. That's it.
Okay, yeah.
She's nothing else, right? But exactly like you said, anything can go viral.
Yeah.
So she had all those views, and people trusted. So what we started doing is, after that, I went on TikTok. I called every single person that has ever made any video about food in Hamilton. I'm like, please come and try it. Please come and try it. Please come and try it. Some people said they'll charge for it. There's one guy from, and you asked this question: is the food influencer worth it? There was one guy from my high school, Lancaster High, Bilal Dawson. He has almost 1 million followers on TikTok.
1 million?
Yeah, almost 1 million. So he's big, out in Toronto. So I'm very happy for him and his success, both on social and financially, right? And then I reached out to his manager. Could we get Bilal in? $5,000, right? Is it worth it for me at this stage for the restaurant to ask an influencer to come in for $5,000? I don't know, right? I'm not willing to make that bet today. Maybe in a year we'll reevaluate. The reach would be phenomenal, but will we see $5,000 worth of people come in and buy food? I don't know yet.
All right, perfect. And do you plan to expand your restaurant as well?
100%. So what I've been working on myself for the last while now, I think what makes or breaks and what people struggle with, you're asking, why is running a restaurant hard? It's the operational ability to be consistent, right? Which, I think people think consistency is easy. If you are there physically yourself 24/7, even then consistency won't be easy. Forget about helping train staff to be consistent and making sure your supply chain is consistent, right? So having these processes in place, that's the most difficult part, and that's also the biggest part that will ensure your success or your failure in the restaurant business, in my opinion.
And again, one bad review can just ruin years of hard work, I think.
Yeah, there's I won't say the restaurant's name. Our grocery store, we supply a lot of restaurants with halal meat. So these guys, their food is phenomenal. And the staff, they're amazing. They're very, very busy. So they had an outbreak of salmonella. Health shut them down for, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks. They have never recovered. It's been years since then. They have not hit their pre-salmonella outbreak level.
Because the consumer confidence
is gone.
Yeah,
right? People don't, especially when it comes to food. This is something you're ingesting, putting into your body that could hurt you if done improperly.
Yeah.
So one bad experience, one bad review. Somebody goes and makes a TikTok. I had a terrible experience at this place, or sometimes the staff treats people really in a way that they shouldn't. It'll break a restaurant.
Yeah, but no, good luck with your restaurant and your grocery store. Let's move on to something very interesting that you're doing. You just launched a new book.
Yes.
So, and the name is A is for Angrezi
for the audience.
For Angrezi. So, can you just tell
available now on Amazon and other platforms.
Yeah, can you just tell us a bit more about the book?
So the book, I think I was joking around. I was just joking around. I don't even remember who I was with. But they were making fun of, it was one of my friends making fun of my Urdu language skills. And then as a joke, I was like, A is for Angrezi, the language of the colonizer. That's the first. And then from there, he said that we should make that a book. And I'm like, okay, done. Right? And I went and I wrote a whole book based off of that.
So it's just what A is for, they're like just letters?
It's just letters. It's an alphabet book.
So is it a 26-page book then?
Yes. It's an alphabet book for the kids.
Okay.
Right? And it starts with A is for Angrezi, the language of the colonizer. And it moves on to B is for Bismillah, and it moves on to C is for.
And I'm sure it's like visually appealing, like all those pictures and all.
I can't do math.
Yeah.
I also cannot draw.
Okay.
So I reached out to, I did some research on different Pakistani illustrators because I wanted the book to have, there's only, I felt I was the Angrezi part of the equation.
Yeah.
Right. I needed to have the Pakistani spirit in that book. So I did research. I found a wonderful illustrator from Karachi. Her name is Abir Kasri.
Okay.
Fantastic work. and we just went back and forth. And this process took almost 2 years to get all of the illustrations done. So it was a very lengthy process.
And is it costly to publish a book?
Is it costly to self-publish a book? Yes.
Self-publish,
Right.
okay.
I'm not going to say the number, but there's a number
Yeah.
that I have to sell before recovering my investment.
And is it a big number?
It's a big number. It's a big number. But on the flip side, once it's done, like it's there for eternity.
Yes.
Right. So
And now there are ebooks. You can just
Yeah.
get your hardcovers as well. So it's amazing. So just a curious one. What is O4? Okay, can
what
you
is
reveal that?
for? Oh, that's now I gotta think
You gotta
back.
remember? Because I just cannot think anything from O.
I'm trying to remember. I don't even know if I remember. I'm remembering M and O. I'm remembering M and N, but I can't remember O for the life of me. But O is for Olad. Well, that was scary. I was having heart palpitations. So the way I tried to design the book was that all of these words, there's a lot of overlap between Urdu and Arabic.
Uh-huh.
I tried my hardest to have all of these words be the same.
Got it.
So these are words that are used in Arabic as well as in Urdu, and Olad is one of them.
And what was the purpose behind it?
The purpose was to help, not necessarily myself, but even the next generation. So my kids, I just had a nephew who just turned 1. His generation, help them, especially if they're going to be growing up in Canada, US, Australia, New Zealand, England, wherever. Help them connect the English language to Urdu or to Arabic. I think it'll be a very sad reality if 2, 3, 4, 5 generations from now, Urdu is not spoken in the West because we just didn't use it and we didn't teach our kids.
Yeah.
Right. So that was the goal, to have this tool so that kids can link Urdu and English. Because the solution is also not only give them Urdu lessons and then forget about English, because that'll handicap them as they go on in life. So I wanted to make sure they're able to have both aspects of language and identity in one place.
And I just feel like this is a great initiative because of the fact, because I grew up in Pakistan, and the main focus that we have is to learn English. To have a conversation in English, and our parents just force us to talk in English at home, right?
And that serves a purpose, but
Yeah.
the mistake is that you do it at the expense of Urdu.
Absolutely. And there, I know people who do great in English in their O levels, A levels, their exams, but they fail in Urdu.
Yeah.
Right, and they're kind of proud of it. Right? It's fine, Urdu, bro.
It's just Urdu.
It just feels cool that you don't know Urdu sometimes
Yeah,
in
no.
Pakistan, which I just feel it's very strange because it's your national language and you should be able to speak it fluently and write it as well.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful poetic language, So
Absolutely.
sometimes I'll in a movie or in a song, I hear something, I'll be like, oh, that's deep. Do I know what it means? No, but that sounds amazing.
So in your book, so when it says O for Aulad, does it write Aulad in Urdu as well, or is it just like
No,
English?
so it's just in English. So the
Okay.
idea was to, associate English letters with Urdu vocabulary. Right, so started at a very basic level. Maybe I should do it the other way around as well. We have Urdu letters connecting it with English language words. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, maybe
that'll be the
version 2.
sequel.
Yeah, sequel, pretty much. All right, amazing. Good luck for that as well. And
Thank you.
I would definitely be a purchaser for anyone in the future, for a kid for sure, because I just feel like it's a great initiative. So thank you for doing this. One last thing,
Yes.
and so you're going to law school.
I am.
So and it's just super interesting because now you're successful. You're like a successful entrepreneur, right? So why law school now? Like, for example, for the next 3 years, right? So obviously you won't work. So is law your passion, or like what's happening behind the scenes?
So we'll go back to the University of Toronto,
Okay.
right? So like I said, math was never my strong suit. Language usually was, right? And our business program, there were a lot of business extracurriculars. I spent almost none of my time there. My extracurriculars was always Model United Nations, which is a form of debate,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And that sphere of the law and politics and debate, I've always loved it since a kid. Maybe I'm just hardwired that way.
Yeah.
I don't know. So it was something that I factored in my decision making when I actually was applying for universities. So when I was in high school applying to different programs, the idea was, I actually wanted to go to law school from the outset.
Mm-hmm.
But I also didn't want to be caught in a position where, and maybe this is a lesson that I'll keep with me, is that, you don't have, I was going to use some profanity. You don't dip your toe in the water, you got to jump in.
Mm-hmm.
So I had that mindset of, I want to do law school, but I don't want to be in a position where I don't get the best grades and then I'm not able to get a job. So I'll go to business school instead.
Yeah.
That way I'll have a job for sure and I'll have a chance for law school. I think that was the wrong mindset. I should have just gone, you know what, this is what I want. I'm going to do everything I need to do to make that a reality. But that's not what happened. So, as I was, working with my family, I was speaking with my family, and I said, you know what, I think now is the time where I should start to think about making that change and finally start. It almost feels inevitable that I was always going to end up there. It was just a matter of time.
But don't you feel like, for example, you'll go to law school for 3 years, then you'll probably do your articleship, and then you'll be part of that corporate system, then you're going to go find a law firm to work for, and then you'll just miss out on this entrepreneurial thing that you have been doing?
100%, I think there is an element of that. Because my school is in the States, there's no articling, right?
Okay.
So 3 years, you start. And that'll be the approach that I'm taking. I think for myself, obviously I can't predict the future, but for myself, tentatively, the approach is complete schooling, work for, a couple of years, and then after that, pivot into utilizing that experience in an entrepreneurial capacity within the law.
Within the law.
Within the law. The end goal is not work at XYZ firm and become a partner. That was never going to be. And I'm very, you asked me, do I think it was the right move to do that with my family? 100%, because I can never go back.
Yeah. You
know what I mean? It's a very different, not lifestyle, but just approach to life, where, the job is almost, when I say the job, I mean like the being an employee. It has a function for me, right? It cannot be the end goal. So it has a function, it has a time and a place. I need to do this now because of XYZ reasons, but it's only there to be a launching pad into doing something myself.
Got it. So now that you'll be gone for 3 years, who's going to manage the restaurant business?
Oof. So, I mean, I've had the privilege of working with a lot of great staff, and we've trained. I've tried to train the staff as best as I can, and we have some great people within the organization that'll be taking on new responsibilities, along with my brother and my dad. They'll also be taking on some of the burden. So, I mean, Timmy's Tanur is going to continue to grow with.
Okay, it's going to continue.
All right. It's going to continue to grow with or without me. That's for sure.
Amazing. Perfect. Dawood, thank you very much. And good luck for your law school. Good luck for your restaurant. Good luck for your restaurant business, grocery business. Good luck for your book. You have been doing a lot of things, and it's just super motivating. So thank you very much. And I think we have reached the 1 hour mark almost. And I have a few questions for you. Not me. So basically, I put up an Instagram post that Dawood Younis is coming. You guys got any questions? So I got a few questions for you.
Okay.
So I shortlisted. So I actually got quite a few. I shortlisted a few, some serious ones, some funny ones. So I'll just ask you.
Hit me.
All right. So you're going to law school.
Yes.
So does that mean your restaurant will now charge people extra for arguing with the waiter?
Honestly, I wish we could.
That's a good business model.
I wish we could. We'll call it a additional transaction fee.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, next one. This one's my favorite. Would your new book smell like shawarma when I open it?
Will it smell like shawarma? No, it will not. If there's one thing I can guarantee, it's that it will not smell like shawarma when you open it.
Amazing, perfect. Okay, this is a serious one. Was there a moment while writing the book you thought this is bigger than just alphabets?
Yeah, I mean, I think because of the way it started, with that it was just like banter around language, and it started with A is for Angrezi, the language of the colonizer, right? And it's kind of like, you mentioned that some people they excel in English, they don't perform as well in Urdu, and they're almost proud of that. To me, that's a mind that has colonized itself.
Yep.
Right, and a lot of the issues we see within, not necessarily in Pakistani society in Pakistan, I'm talking about Pakistani society everywhere. Again, these issues are not exclusive to our community, but a lot of it is almost like we're waiting for somebody else to fix this problem for us.
Yeah.
Somebody else is going to do this. So it's like, no, we have to take ownership and deconstruct the bad elements and reconstruct positive elements. So for me, if that starts from kids being proud and well-versed in their own roots from a young age, that's an excellent place to start.
Perfect. Great answer. Next one, again, a serious one. And then I have a couple funny ones as well. Restaurant, book, law school, grocery. How do you manage everything?
I'm a fan of, at Rotman, I did management and marketing was always my focus. I honestly think Nike's slogan is the greatest thing on earth.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Okay.
Because I have to. Because, you know what I mean? Just do it. There's nothing else. There's no other option. And this is definitely something that my dad is also, like, he's demonstrated in his career and he's drilled it into myself and my brother, is like, people say, you work hard, you can make your dreams come true, anything is possible. And when you're a kid, it's almost like, oh, you're just saying that. And then as I get older, it feels more and more true. Literally anything, you can literally do whatever you want. Are you willing to do everything it takes? Right? Are you willing to sacrifice the sleep? Are you willing to compromise on different things? How much are you willing to put into it? I've found over the last 5 years, you have to balance everything, especially with your health. That's the last thing that anyone should ever compromise on. Everything else, are you willing to put in the effort to make it happen? And it's as simple as that. If you are, go do it.
Amazing. Perfect. Great answer. A couple of last couple questions. In your book, A is for Angrezi, what does B stand for and why is it not biryani?
Okay. So, you know what? I have a hot take in the book. So B stands for Bismillah.
Okay.
Right? So I feel like I don't have to justify B anymore than that. But the controversy is going to be on the letter P.
Okay.
Right? For people that don't know me, I love biryani.
Okay.
Like, no, but you're saying, okay, no, I'm insane. I have spent in my life weeks at a time, I'm having biryani breakfast, lunch, dinner. Right? Yeah, see, now you're sure.
I mean, I love biryani as well, but yeah, that's
right.
Again,
like I truly,
a super biryani fan.
To me, it's the greatest food on earth.
Yeah.
There's he's a South Indian actor, but if you search mutton biryani, is the greatest on TikTok, you will find my favorite video, and he goes, mutton biryani is the greatest thing, and I love it because I agree.
Yeah.
So I absolutely love biryani. The letter P in the book is for Persia, the birthplace of biryani.
Okay.
So, because I did a deep dive into where did this amazing magical food come from. So the concept of and the techniques around biryani originated in Iran, and then it made its way to the Indian subcontinent, where we added all this masala that they did not have, and we added our own fusion, our own techniques, and made it what it is today, which is, like I said, the most beautiful food.
Amazing. Because of this question, we got a good biryani lesson. Amazing. And one last question before we end this. Again, a very funny one. Did you try testing this book on a group of Desi aunties, and did they suggest C is for chappal, C is for chamar, D is for dant?
No, I did not. I felt like the Desi auntie was like the last demographic I want. I'm like, they can buy it, they don't buy it, it's all good. But no, I put C is for cricket, and it's a picture of
cricket. Okay.
It's an illustration of. But
isn't
Imran
C is for
Khan.
cricket? Isn't cricket an English word itself?
But what's the Urdu word for cricket?
Cricket. Okay, that's a good one. Okay, amazing. And it's a picture of Imran Khan.
And it's a recreation of his his beautiful pose, and like that's when he had his lovely hair and everything.
Okay, and did you think of all of these words yourself, or was there the publisher helping you?
No,
so it's just you.
It was me going back and forth with my family, if anything.
Okay.
Family and friends. I would send them, hey guys, does this make sense? Does this make sense? And they would say, this one is a little too difficult, or this one is a maybe no, and all these things. And I learned words that I didn't know, to be honest.
Amazing. Perfect, Dawood. Thank you very much for coming. It was a pleasure having you. And again, super motivating, great insights, and good luck for your law school. Guys,
you.
please go try Timmy's Tanur. Great shawarma. I haven't tried it personally, so but I will definitely go and give a review.
I will hold you to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Go purchase the book. Super motivating. It made it super motivating, and I'll definitely purchase this book for sure. Go shop at the grocery store. Go buy eggs, and will you give a discount? No, never mind.
Not on eggs.
Never mind. And again, thank you so much for listening, guys. I hope you guys loved the conversation. Please subscribe and stay tuned for the next podcast.